Okay, so we have covered how cells stay alive. Now let's talk about how they die. It's really a rather simple process. There are only two ways for a cell to die. One is called apoptosis, and the second one is called necrosis. Necrosis by far is the more common one, the one we're more familiar with, and we'll look at it first. Okay, necrosis is cell death caused by some outside force. Perhaps you stick your hand in a fire and burn it. Perhaps a bus falls on your hand. Perhaps you drink some poison, or you quit breathing, or your heart quits pumping blood, both of which would cause a lack of oxygen. All of these things are outside forces and in various ways would cause cells to die. Here is the process of necrosis. Something happens to make oxygen run out. At that point, ATP can no longer be made in sufficient quantities, and so ATP runs out. The only reason the cell membrane was staying intact was it had a steady supply of ATP, so without the ATP, the cell membrane falls apart, and the contents of the cell leak out, including lysosomes, which are little vacuoles, little packages of poison, enzymes that eat tissue. So when the lysosomes explode, not only is the one cell dead, but nearby cells will be eaten by the lysosomes of the original cell. Necrosis is a messy process. Here's a picture of a brown recluse spider bite, which is kills tissue by the process of necrosis. You can see the black portion, all this dead tissue in here. This is necrotized tissue. The tissue, the red rim going around, what you can't see is that this tissue is being eaten, being killed by the process of necrosis because these cells are being poisoned. So we've covered necrosis, the common cell death, and now we'll talk about the only other way for a cell to die, which is apoptosis. It's not one we usually think about. It is a planned cell death. It's actually written in the DNA. Each cell has an expiration date, and it knows when it's going to die. So on the day of its death, it sends out goodbye letters to all the neighboring cells, saying, "Goodbye, I wish I could stay longer, but it's time for me to go." And the phagocytes, which are nearby, pick up on this, and phagocytes live to eat cells, especially cells that are about to die. They see the goodbye letters, and they come in and they eat the cell in its death process, and this avoids the spilling of the lysosomes and tissue destruction next door. So this is a very neat and almost surgical sort of way of killing cells. In fact, in the uterus, this is how our fingers and toes are formed. Here's a picture on the left of a 48-day fetus. It has, you can see, 5 digits in this hand, but they're grossly joined by, well, lots of cells, which will be hopefully killed by apoptosis to form normal-looking digits like this one, and this one, and this one. But over here you can see that apoptosis went wrong, and we quit killing cells in here, which is no big deal as far as walking, but if you really care about your feet and you need that taken care of, we have a way to fix it. Okay, so we have gone over here the two ways for cells to die. Really and truly the only one we're interested in is necrosis because of the lack of oxygen involved in that, and we will continue on our journey.